Hey guys, welcome back to me and my Maverick. This is actually the second time I've changed oil in the Maverick. First time lost the video. So yeah, there's videos out there already on how to do this, but this is as much me documenting sort of things I do to the truck as anything. So I wanted to bring you along. So for my previous experience, first thing I got to do is get it up in the air just a little bit. I do have ramps, but I have to go out in the shed and get them out and then get spotted to get it up on the ramp and all that. So what I'm going to do is just lift the body up a little bit. So again, this is what I do. I am not recommending this for anyone, but I've already done this once and I know it works for me. So I've told you guys before, you know, I'm pretty tall, I got long arms. So getting the shield off the bottom of the engine is not a big deal for me. I can reach all the bolts. But what I wanted to bring you along today was to show you something I bought to use my floor jacks. So these little pucks that have this grooved in the middle, these things fit perfectly on the jack point, the pinch weld on the front of the truck. So I've already done the other side and I wanted to bring you along just to sort of show you what that looks like. I bought these on Amazon, like so many of us buy things these days. And so this particular place right here, it'll just slide right up on there. Now you notice it's not hitting the plastic trim, so it's not going to break the trim. So it's putting the pressure on the pinch weld itself when you jack it up. So then what I do is just position the jack just like that. And then just raise it up enough to get a little bit of clearance for me to reach underneath the truck. So you can see I've gained a couple of inches there, and that's probably plenty. I won't need to raise it up any more than that. And the other part of it is, for some reason, if the jack lowers, it's not going to crush me because I don't have my head like underneath it or anything. It just makes it easier for me to reach. So walk you around, show you the other side real quick. So same thing over here. I haven't jacked it up yet, but I'll jack it up a little bit now. You can see how high I've got the front of the truck. So now I'll be able to get underneath here and start on that shield underneath there. So let me get that started. Then I'll bring you guys along as I get close to finishing up, and we'll do the oil change real quick and just sort of walk through the end of that. So give me a second and we'll be right back to it. All right, so about done with the shield underneath the engine. So I got a couple of screws left. So these are, they're T30 heads. One of the things that I found out from before is they have the retaining clips that they fasten into. Those do fall out. Just FYI, I lost one the last time, and when I backed the truck out, I found it. So we're gonna put it back in this time. But these come out real easy, just like that, nothing to it. And then the shield in the front has a couple tabs. There's one here, one down here. So you just sort of push it back, and then you have a tab in the back too. So you'll need to loosen, you'll need to pull that loose as well. And so that gives you the under part of the engine here. So that's how the shield works. So filters here, not sure if you can see that. Drain plug is here. So let me pause you guys again and come back to the actual oil change. I'll need to reach underneath this and get this, and I'm afraid I'm going to knock you guys over when I do that. So next thing we'll be doing is the oil change. All right, so let's get to the oil change. Drain plug is a 15 millimeter. So just as a reminder, the fastener screws here were T30s. So again, since I've already changed oil on this once and lost that video, I know what's going on here. And I'm surprised that that is that tight. There we go. Still not quite enough. So while I'm getting to this, it does have a rubber gasket on it, rubber washer. so you don't have to worry about replacing a crush washer. So I'll show you guys that as we get this out here. Try to do this without making a mess. I'm notorious for doing that, but got better through the years. There we go. Got a little bit on the ground, but not bad. So we'll let that do its thing. Won't take it very long here. I've not taken the fill cap off yet, so I'm going to do that to make sure there's not any vacuum or anything in there. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to grab an oil filter wrench, and I'll show you guys what I had to use. So as you can see here, there's the green. That's definitely a rubber washer or a rubber gasket on there. I've seen videos where people said they've had crush washers. I'm a little bit surprised. All the Fords I've had for years have all been pretty much just like this. So that could be the case. I don't know. So let me pop that cap and grab this wrench. Watching oil drain is like watching paint dry, about the same. So here is the wrench that I have for taking oil filter off. Now I probably will be able to take this off by hand because I tighten them by hand, and I'm able to tighten them down plenty tight enough so I don't use, I call this the jaws of death for an oil filter. Got it at AutoZone, like 20 bucks or something like that. But got it, had a new car several years ago and tried every trick I had. I have so many different types of oil filter wrenches. Could not get it off. And went and bought this guy, came right off. So, and I had no problems with the factory filter that was on here. So it was tight, but it did come off. So I'm using Pennzoil 5W30 full synthetic. I'm not brand loyal, so I tend to find stuff that's on sale as long as it is name brand and full synthetic. That's usually what I get. And then the filter is an FL910S, and I actually bought these on Amazon for like $3 a piece or something like that. It was some ridiculous price. I'm not sure why they were so cheap, but yeah, so I'm going to go on and prime this filter. We'll put a little oil in here, and that's not something that I don't know. I don't know whether it makes any difference or not to put oil in the filter, but you know, I do it. Seen a lot of guys do it. Seen guys that don't do it. So yeah, we'll just do that and get that filter on here in a second. Okay, so still got just a tiny bit of oil draining. I don't want to leave you guys hanging for a long time, so I think I'm going to go and put the drain plug in. This oil only had about 2,500 miles on it anyway. The reason I've changed it so soon is because we are going on a driving trip. We're going to Florida coming up soon. Going to be gone for several weeks, and gonna take the Maverick, so I'll have some video when we get done with that. Okay, so we're gonna just tighten it down, and again, nothing has to be like super tight. Some of these places change oil. I don't understand why they make things so tight. So now I'm going to turn you just a tiny bit so you should be able to see the filter better. So I've got my rag. I think I'm going to have to use a wrench on this. I'm surprised because I put that on by hand. So wrench just goes however you could make it fit. I've got a little bit of an angle, but it's fine because it's turning now. I would just say if you're using this type of wrench, be sure and not get it wrapped around anything, because those teeth are aggressive. Okay, so filter's loose. Let that drain out a little bit. You guys could probably see through that light that the oil is still really clean. I've been a little bit surprised at, like I said, this is the second time I changed it, and didn't have a lot of miles on the first one either, but after, you know, 3,000 miles or so, I was a little bit surprised at how clean the oil was, especially with the turbo engine. Sometimes you see that oil get pretty dirty. So yeah, it's not bad at all. I use OEM filters in both of our vehicles, mostly because they both still have, you know, like this either has full factory warranty, or in the case of our Explorer, has a drivetrain factory warranty, and then we bought an extended warranty. So what I don't want to run into is, you know, if there were some kind of an engine problem, that you start getting into this, well, you know, yeah, we see you change your oil, but you know, you used a Walmart filter, which I'm not saying they're bad. I used it for years in older cars I had. So just use OEM, that way it takes that out of the equation, and then if something bad happens, you're arguing about that instead of arguing about, you know, well, it was the cheap oil filter you used or whatever. So this is just about done draining. We're gonna clean the surface up here real good, and then put the new filter on. I did get it just a little bit full, so I wouldn't be surprised if I made a mess. All right, being careful to make sure that it's threaded correctly. So I've changed oil for a lot of years, and I've never, not putting people down, but I've never understood how someone could cross thread an oil filter, but people do it. I mean, it has to go on easy, right? You know, I mean, it has to start easy, and how that could happen, I don't know. So hand tightening, you know, between having a good grip and big hands, that'll be plenty tight. Never had one come off in over 40 years of doing my own oil. So we'll give her one last little squeeze. All right, so gonna put the shield back on, so I'll get that in place and then pick you guys up again after we sort of finish up with that. All right, got a little ahead of myself. I said I was gonna put the shield back on, but I need to add oil to it to start before I do that. So we'll just make sure there's no leaks. Never had a problem with that either in 40 years. Now I will tell you, I did had an old Ford Taurus. You guys remember the, was it the 96 to 99 body style that had the background window and all that? So I owned a couple of those. Both of them used, and I did somehow, it had an oil pan gasket going bad, and I was changing oil in it and wiping oil off from around the gasket, and ended up pulling part of the gasket out. So yeah, that was fun. That ended up with a trip to a shop around here that could jack that thing up and replace that for me. So Pennzoil 5W30 full synthetic, that's for the 2-liter turbo. I'm pretty sure the 2.5 liter for the hybrid uses a different weight oil. but I've never looked into that. So yeah, always check your owner's manual before you do something in a YouTube video. That way you are for sure. So anyway, while I'm filling this, just quickly, like I said, we're going on a trip, be gone for several weeks, and I'll take some video of driving on the trip, but it'll be a lot of interstate driving. What we're doing is going on a cruise, and then we're going to be in Florida for a little over 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, I guess, when it's all said and done. And I'll take some video of driving to different places and probably give my thoughts afterwards on, you know, how it did. We've driven, I had a video on going to the Smoky Mountains, and, you know, it did great on that trip. Ended up going to Nashville as well. So put on, I think it was like 1,200 miles. This trip will obviously be a lot more. I'm figuring by the time we get done, probably about 2,500 miles on the whole trip with everywhere we're going. So that'll be interesting. Really interested in the mileage, and then also the performance. So I'll give my thoughts on that and share that in the video, and see what we can do to sort of keep documenting the Maverick here. So yeah, that'll probably be a few weeks before I get that done, because I'm not sure I'm going to take video, but I'm not sure I'm going to edit any video while we're on vacation. Honestly, we are just going to be so busy. I don't know that I'm going to have time to do that. We've got pretty much every day planned except for living in north central Indiana. We left an extra day driving down just in case we run into weather. So, but coming back, you know, we just, everything's planned for the whole thing, and there isn't any free time in there. Okay, so 5.5 quarts is what it calls for. That's what I put in. I'd used a half quart previously, so that's why the single quart was not full. And yeah, don't overfill. So just put the cap back on. Always make sure and do that. Have I ever forgot that? Yeah, there's been a time or two I forgot to do that. And yeah, so the rest of the engine's still looking good. Got a little dirt, salt from the winter driving, but I don't know if you guys caught that inside, but we have finally had snow here in Indiana, and it's a salty mess. So we'll have to get it cleaned up and get some ceramic detail on it. Okay, so I'm going to start it. Got to put the door up. It's going to be noisy. I'm not going to videotape that, but I'll bring you guys back to putting the shield back in place, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so we got the truck running. We'll check for leaks here in a second, but one of the things I thought about bringing you along for was resetting the oil monitoring. So I don't think the menu, the way this is set up, is the most intuitive, but once you figure it out, it's really easy. So you press on the steering wheel, you press the menu portion, and then there's a back arrow here once you're inside of the menu to go back. But then of course you use the OK button to select. So I'm going to press the menu, and we don't want any of the trip odometers. What we need to go to is, when I press the back button, we want to go to the settings. So there you'll see I see you have a little bit of glare. There you'll see the image of the truck. So once we press the settings, then we press menu again, and there is the information, which then we press OK. Tire pressure, I'll just show you guys real quick. So tire pressure is there, and looks like one tire is slightly lower than the other three. Which is interesting because that tire had a screw in it this week, and I got it repaired, so have to keep an eye on that. But the backward, so if I go the backward arrow here, it takes me back to where the oil life is. Just scroll down with the OK button, press OK. 76%. I told you it didn't need an oil change, but because of how many miles we're going to put on, I wanted to do it. So then just press it. I didn't hold it. Press it, hold it, and then once you get the check mark, you're done. So then we can back out. So I'm pressing the back button. And then once we get to the truck, we'll just press the OK button to go back down to the trip odometer, and that's where I leave it, right there. So because there I can see how many miles till empty. When you're running, it'll tell you your current MPG, and then it gives you your average MPG. So 23.3 is what I've been getting all city. So I don't think that's bad at all. There's no highway miles on that at all. That's all city driving. And some of it's at higher speed than others, right? There's some roads where you're 45, but most of it is, 35, 40 miles an hour. Okay, so that's how you reset the oil life, and we'll wrap it all up here in just a second. All right, guys, finishing up. So there are 15 of these little screws, and they're so much fun to put in, especially when the little retainer clips come out. So once you're done, I mean, everywhere the screw is tight. It has a little bit of bounce in the middle, but that's just the way it's made. One of the interesting things I noticed, in watching all the forums for a whole year before I got my truck versus when I ordered it, is there was some discussion about overheating, and I will show you guys that these holes right here, these were not in this piece when it was manufactured. You could tell that these have been drilled in here afterwards. So there's 3 up front, and I think two in the back maybe. So just thought that interesting. It's to increase airflow into the engine compartment, but yeah, I'm sure that was a result of, in certain situations, maybe there not being enough air to circulate. So anyway, as I said before, this is just how I do it. It's for information and entertainment purposes only. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll be having some traveling videos here soon, and got a couple of other things I'll be recording here real soon. So thanks for watching.